There we go. Well, that was weird. Got a all pipe instances are busy error. Have to look into that. First time I'm trying to stream, so who knows? Maybe it's something about streaming versus recording. I've never had that happen before when I tried to use my camera. But anyway, I am starting out trying to stream some very rudimentary videos to this channel. I've never really played live before, so it's going to be an experience. But the theme of this series, and I realize I'm streaming to literally no one at this point, but it's going to be a recording anyway. So the theme of the series is going to be Stalingrad, and what I thought is to basically do one stream a week, see how it goes, and keep it defined to just the topic of Stalingrad. I've got a couple Stalingrad games ready to play, but I'm also working on developing 2 games of my own. So one is going to be a mod for War in the East 2, and the second is called Project Azure, which is I've been working on it for about a year on and off, but not nearly the amount of dedication it actually takes to finish a game. But I've been working on that, and that's more like an operational scale, regimental scale, just large game about the entirety of Case Blue, from all the way at, like, I'm still trying to decide on the exact start point, but my idea is to basically include part of the Second Battle of Kharkov as well. So kind of the early phase of the campaign would be focused on getting to Stalingrad, and then after that you do have to have a Russian part too. So I've been working on that. I have a vassal module made for it, but it still needs a lot of work, and it needs a better map. That's the big thing. I really need to put my head down and just make a good map for it. I'm still also on the fence on if it's going to be Hex and Counter, or if it's only ever going to be a Kriegspiel. But either way, I don't care. I just want it to be good. So I think I am streaming properly, but I honestly have no idea. I probably should have done a test run of this before trying it out for the first time, but I'm also starting a half hour late because I was screwing around with the settings and didn't quite know what to do. I'm trying to bring up the stream on my iPad so I can actually see the chat in case anyone decides that they do want to join. Of course, it's not my iPad, it's my wife's, so I have to find out where she put her YouTube. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Found it. I gotta search my own name, apparently, because I'm not one of her most watched people. She has her politics chat shows she likes to watch. There we go. Alright, I have it up. So I can see what you guys are seeing. Probably on a significant delay, but I will be able to at least read the messages as they come in. Assuming I keep this right here. Yep, I can see it. Supposedly OBS also will send me the messages. I'm not so sure about that, but we'll find out. But anyway, Stalingrad's a really interesting topic to me. And before I dive into it, I do want to hit a little piece of Wargaming news. That's related, but not exclusively a Stalingrad game. And it is from MMP Inflection Point, which I believe just released a few days ago. And it is one of the games that I've been most excited about. Let's see here. This is Inflection Point, the newest BCS game. And one of the things I'm most excited about is that it's finally a, Eastern Front main part of the Stalingrad campaign. And it's a BCS game instead of OCS. So this is taking place basically, I think, let me see if I can get the whole map up. I don't know if this is the whole map, but you can see there's Kalachan Don, and there's that's the Don River right there. So this is kind of in the Don area. You can see some of the counters here. I mean, they're pretty standard BCS counters, but having Russians involved here is really cool. And it's a 2-map game, I believe. I think there's 2 maps. So very playable. If it's only 2 maps, that means I could play it on my little table here. So that means pretty much anyone could play it. Oh, actually 3 maps. So it's got 2 full maps and then a small map as well. And then, so I can't quite fit that, but I can fit 2 mappers. The 3rd map would put me over the edge. But I mean, I assume that the 3rd map is probably not that important. I wonder if they have any actual downloads for it yet. Like if you can read the rules online. Let me see. So this would be BCS. I'm just interested in like the game specific rules. To see if they have any game specific rules on it. BCS is a really interesting game because it is, let's see, Inflection Point specific rules they do. BCS is a really interesting game because it's so out there. It's not like a normal hex and counter game. It's got a lot going on, and it's really cool. Apparently the map is 1 mile per hex. That's pretty low scale actually for BCS. I thought the other ones were like 3 miles per hex. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm thinking OCS. Oh, there's a picture of Dean. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in this. Oh, that's interesting. So right after he did his SCS game, he had the final 2 parts of that book I was holding up earlier. That's actually, it's a trilogy. I have the abridged single volume version, but the full trilogy's A, quite expensive, and B, very, very detailed. So it's a really good source if you're making a war game about this period. It has so much detail about the order of battle, and that's probably the best thing you could say about Glantz. He really writes about the order of battle. I'm trying to get down to the part where Carl wrote a piece of this. Yeah, so everyone has touched this. Wow, there's so much to read. This is amazing. I might just read this tonight. It's a cool picture too. Little scout car. The German scout half tracks are so cool. I just love half tracks in general. I wish they had stuck around, but I guess they don't make a whole lot of sense after you invent, fully tracked vehicles or good 4x4s. But still, I think a half track solves a lot of problems of the Eastern Front. I'm surprised that the force, like the current war, hasn't brought back half tracks. It's brought back motorcycle battalions, so I'm also surprised it hasn't brought back significant amount of just bicycles in general. The war in Ukraine, I feel like bicycles would be very, very effective for like the smaller engagements. Okay, so all of this stuff was done already, and then Carl finished it off. Interesting. Yeah, I think this is a good point here. Actually, let me zoom in. Uh, What Dean and I quickly discovered, however, was that replicating the history proved difficult. While the Soviets knew the advance was coming, the forces were unable to coordinate a response. And that's always the hard part of the Eastern Front, is the fact that in games you kind of know the history, you know what's going to happen, but they, at the same time, they don't really. You can't change it in a way so that it makes it completely broken and too easy for the Germans. But at the same time, you want to hamper the Soviets in their ability to kind of give orders to the front line. So from a design perspective, I think it does make it a challenge. And I've done a few different, I've tried a few different solutions in my Kriegspiel games to replicate that. And the one I've been liking the most is basically limiting the quantity of orders. So just giving them like less. You would either do like less action points if you had an action point based system, or less supply if it was a supply based system. So you just give them less, and then that seems to sort things out. Even if they have more troops, they can't do anything with those more troops, so they end up getting wiped out. There's other ways to do it, but I feel like the solutions that seem to be used the most often are to give them less equipment, not less equipment, less actions. Yeah, it's really interesting. So anyway, I think that this version of BCS is gonna be one of the definitive ones. There's been a lot of games in the series. A lot of them have been about the Western Front, or they have been about modern. This is the first real big take. I think what was Panzer's Last Stand about? I don't remember. Budapest. So yeah, this is technically Western Front as well, but from much later in the war. But with only Budapest, and I think Blazing Chariots is what? That's it's 1941 Western Desert Campaign. To Brook, basically. So yeah, this is the first really big BCS game about the Eastern Front, and so I was really excited about it. I will eventually buy it, but I just didn't have the cash to splash on it initially, and I also don't really have the bandwidth to play it right now. But I'm really interested in playing it, and I can't wait to. I'm hoping that Vassal sorts itself out soon, and maybe I could play it on Vassal for a while I wait to order it. But I think if you are at all interested in the Eastern Front, you should give this new one a try from MMP, because BCS is just a totally unique, I would say, experience in wargaming. There's nothing else quite like it. And I think it's a really good pickup if you are into that period of history. All right, so let me give you a quick rundown on kind of the Stalingrad related games I want to play. I think I want to play on this channel, on this Stalingrad Sunday thing. I want to play, first of all, Fall Blau, which I've had set up on the table behind me for a while here. Ignore the Play-Doh. I've had set up on the table behind me here one of the scenarios, the Don Ben scenario. But I also have the full thing set up in Vassal. The Vassal module, for whatever reason, doesn't include setup. So if you want the full setup, just ping me on Discord, and I'll drop you the full setup link. Otherwise, I think I will probably just be playing that. I might pick up another JTS game, John Tiller Eastern Front game. Right now I have Kharkov 42, but the other ones that are related to it, let me just go to their website here, and let's go to this. So the other ones that I've been interested in are Panzer Campaigns, so I have 42 gold, right? And this is one of the older ones of the series. Then there's Kharkov 43, which is after Stalingrad, obviously. There's also there is another one that's related to Stalingrad. Stalingrad 42 gold. So I might try this one. I'm not sure exactly what it covers. I don't know too much about it. But it has Stalingrad in the name. I mean, to me, this looks like it's kind of the end of the battle here, but so it looks like it has the majority of the campaign. It has phase 1 or phase A, and then the breakthrough, and then it doesn't really have any of the kind of Caucasus part of the campaign, so it's mostly the northern section, which is cool. And that's the part I'm more interested in anyway. Not that many scenarios, though, interestingly, compared to Kharkov. So maybe I'll pick this one up too, just to give us another option. The nice thing about the JTS games is they're a lot lighter in terms of like how much you got to do in a turn compared to. I feel like they're a lot lighter, anyway, compared to War in the East, where your decisions are really impactful. Because the time scale is a lot lower, they're not as punishing. So a small mistake in a JTS game might not wreck you as bad as they do in other games. 7,500 hexes. They are really detailed games, though, so I like that. There's some things I don't like about my experience so far with it, but I don't mind it, to be honest. So that's definitely on the table. I guess for now, maybe I will play. I haven't shown any of my Kharkov playthrough yet on the channel, so maybe I'll mess around with that a bit before I sign off here. I thought that this was going to be a pretty quick episode, or maybe we can look at the edit of War in the East that I need to start. There's a lot of stuff I need to learn about War in the East before I can really get it going. So the editor in War in the East, there's two versions of it. There's the new editor and there's the old editor. So if you do the new editor and you want to start a new scenario, what I want to do is I want to try to start the generic data and everything from scratch. I just don't 100% know how to do it. Like, I want to just redo all of the unit data at least. I'm not 100% sure on where that happens. Like, do I do it here? Because the order of battle for this game is really focused on, the 1941 campaign. The existing scenarios don't really cover the portion of the war I want to cover. See, there's all this stuff that's very 1941 specific. So I would like to maybe try to make an entirely new file for it. That's just what I need for the order of battle, but I'm not really sure where to start on it. That's the whole problem. And then if we go to the other side of the house where we're looking at the scenario options to edit from, I mean, you're kind of left with, they have the Case Blue Phase 2 campaign. They have Race for the Caucasus. I think these are both really interesting scenarios, but, well, I guess this Case Blue Phase 2 might kind of suit my purposes already. I could play that campaign instead of making my own. Not really sure. This one is 1943 only. I had also started working on a Battle of Kharkov one, but again, I got kind of hung up on what do you do to start. I really wish the Stalingrad to Berlin campaign actually started way earlier. I have played this scenario a few times. It's pretty fun. It's like it's Operation Uranus, basically. And as the Germans, it's kind of an interesting scenario, but it's hard. I mean, like the AI really pins you off, and in War in the East, breaking out of encirclements is impossible. Breaking into encirclements is very difficult as well, and then supplying an encirclement so that it doesn't surrender, you have to use all your transports every single turn. If you don't fly them for one turn, you start just dying, and even then you just can't provide enough supply. So I think the historical accuracy is really good, but it's not necessarily a fun scenario to play as the Germans. As the Soviets, it's a lot of fun because you get to wreck. But as the Germans, it's kind of tough because there's just not much to do. Like, you can bring all your guys up from the Caucasus area and try to hold out, but then they hit your flanks really hard, and suddenly now you're worried about, this gigantic flank. It's just, there's so many places where you can get encircled. Really dangerous. And then the troops in the northern part of the map, like up near Voronezh, aren't good enough that you can swing them around early enough. Like, most of them are locked for a long time, so that you can't really get anything from the left side of the map. So everything that you bring to try to break open the pocket has to be pulled off of the southern front. And it just doesn't work. I mean, there's too much to do. So let's maybe try let's see. I'll do it on an easier setting because I've never played this scenario before. But I was thinking maybe if we'll try the German side of that Fall Blau campaign. I don't think I'm going to mess with any of this. It would be kind of fun to give the Italians a boost. Because I do think the Italians kind of get shafted by history in this game. I really like the option now to change the combat delay effects. I think they're kind of fun. I don't care about that anymore. I don't really want to automate air. Yeah, I think these are pretty much the settings I normally use. I'm not sure if the game is fun on the harder settings. Alright, we'll go with these settings. And we'll try this. I don't know what the difference between alternate and regular is. So the regular version, what's the difference? Instead, it maintains the plan to have 11th Army support the drive of the southern Russia. Versus in this one, okay, so this one is a what-if scenario to explore if 11th Army stayed in the southern front. Yeah, we'll do the original. Call this Stalingrad Sunday. I wonder if I'll ever get somebody who comes in and chats. Alright, let's zoom out here and see what the map looks like. So we're already pretty far along in the campaign. That's interesting. We have taken Voronezh already, so we don't have to do that. We've pushed almost all the way to the Don Bend, so we have to wipe out this army here. Stalingrad feels really close all of a sudden. Except the combat prep of our guys is not good. 0 combat prep? That's really bad. Okay, so we're gonna have to... so we're gonna have to take some time to reorganize our combat prep. Does anyone have combat prep? Or are they all zeros? All zeros down here. Even the guys back off the front line are zeros. Everyone on the map is set to 0. That's going to be a pain because that'll take 4 turns just to get us up to full strength, assuming they're not on the front lines. Yeah, that's a real pain. Alright, well, we want to hit the Cheer River area. Ironically, this is the Kalachandon area. This is the entirety of that BCS game that we were looking at. Basically, what you can see on the screen here, these units, that is the BCS inflection point game. Because there's Cheer Station, there's Kalach. This is the map. That's kind of cool. Being able to cut over like that. Oh, hey. Got the first chat. Nice to see someone playing War in the East on YouTube. Couldn't get into it myself, yeah. Well, it's not the easiest game to get into, to be fair. I don't play Germans very often, so I'm going to be an idiot here, too. And I've never played this scenario. I'm trying to learn more about Stalingrad, basically, and that's why I have this as the topic. But I think the idea here is we just have to try to get some of these guys before they can retreat. Maybe surround them with this motorized unit. I don't know. Like, it's going to be kind of tough without any combat prep. And these guys are kind of low on... The weather is okay, right? Yeah, the weather's okay. These guys are kind of low on their TOE here. They only have a few planes available. So that's our TAC recon. Yeah, everything is so... in such bad shape. Let me check out what the situation with the logistics is. I guess there is no logistics up here. Is this still all converting? Oh yeah, the railhead's way back here. Oh my god. Okay, that's gonna be a bit of a problem. Yikes. Yeah, so if we put on the rail... Oh, wow. Yeah, the railhead's so far away from these air bases. So I'll have to airdrop supplies to the air bases just to keep them in supply. That's ridiculous. I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. Like, ideally, I want to get this rail here up and running. But I would have to capture this hex here, and they have a guards division right there. That would be amazing if I could get that. That's a critical supply junction. I mean, because the other option is I have to do single rail for everything. I've never actually read about this hex here, Zvodba, if that was a major target. Because if you're doing the terrain analysis on this area of the map, I think Zvodba is one of the most important targets to hit. At least our railhead's not too far back from Voronezh, but if we could take Zvodba and get the railhead all the way down there, that would put us in a good place to get Stalingrad. Because then we can at least get supplies pretty far up. But then the last part is still going to be single rail. There's no way to get a double rail all the way into Stalingrad. So, and historically that was a big issue. It's like just the supplying of the attack is very difficult to do. So I don't know how much I want to fly out of this if that's the situation. Let's take a look at what missions we're actually flying and maybe our doctrine as well. So right now we're on ground support and we're flying a whole bunch of recon. Well, maybe let's not fly the recon this turn because we don't have a lot of supply. And that's it. No interdiction or anything. Maybe I'll leave it that way. I'll just do some ground support. We don't need the recon necessarily. So let's just go with ground support only. See what happens. Apparently the enemy is flying some missions and getting slaughtered as usual. Alright, so now we're on the ground turn and we have 0 combat prep, so no combat prep at all. And what we want to do is try to take this, maybe encircle a couple units, but really I want to get some sort of bridgehead here over the Don. So I don't want to be right next to him necessarily as I do it. That's unfortunate. They did have their flank protected. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. So there's nothing I can do here. I don't think I can go around them on this side. They have a guy up here. Now, these guys might actually be beatable because they're so weak. Saying it's a 64. I don't know if I believe that. Yeah, I don't know if I believe that at all. I'm hoping that all of our commands are okay right now in terms of their limits. Oops. Just hit directive. I'm hoping the commanders are okay with their limits. This guy's got 13 support units. A lot of rockets. But, I mean, he is in an important place. Yeah, I agree that the ground war is simple and more in the east and war in the west. I think the air war, the biggest problem with the air is the insane operational losses. And I know people have been endlessly bitching about that on the forums and stuff. But I think if you play it straight up and just kind of ignore the operational losses, you'll eventually run out of planes, but I think they'll have more fun doing it that way than, trying to micromanage it in a way that maintains your forces. Because the only other option is to do what the AI does and basically don't fly. And I don't think that's very fun. So I agree. I think the air war could have used a few touches. I think they basically just kept the model from war in the West where, the Western allies have a lot more planes. That's the reality. So their operational loss rate was probably fine as is. But when you have the insane operational losses combined with the much smaller air forces, I think that it makes just a very unrealistically difficult air war. All right, let's get the Romanians over the river maybe. So we could put them all the way up to here. Alright, so that is held. But I want to put the Romanians over the river just to get a bridgehead. Well, we could move up to here without having too much fatigue. So maybe we do it that way. I don't know where to put the headquarters, though. It's not really a good place to put the headquarters. The fact that the bridgehead's this far back is a real pain. Just try to do what I can to move the bridgehead up in this direction. Yeah, I think the operational loss micromanagement thing, it's kind of bonkers. It's just not fun. I think that's the problem. It's like you shouldn't have to be as on top of the air war as you need to be to have it produce somewhat realistic numbers. And I think no matter what you do, the operational losses are always just higher than they were historically. Now, supposedly in the new patch that's in beta right now, they've tweaked the operational losses down a bit. And I think that's basically the solution. It's just lower the numbers a bit and it'd be better. I think, if you just look at some of the people who have done longer campaigns and they've posted the numbers and they just don't make sense. We're talking about experienced players who are saying this. Not like me. So I kind of am on the side of, yeah, the operational losses are probably just too high. The numbers are just too big. And the best solution would just be to tweak them down a little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. I think they're pretty close to what they should be. It's just over a longer campaign, it adds up a lot. So if it's off by, 5%, if it's 15% losses when it should be 10% losses, for example, that's a huge difference in, multi-hundred turn campaign. And the Russian side of things, it's like, yeah, you're losing a lot of planes, but you're also building a lot. And it feels like you have to save your planes early on, but really you just got to spend. Historically, the solution was to just spend them. So I'm not so sure if the game encourages you to do that, because you don't get a lot of results. You're always just all the way to even to the end of the war, really, as far as I can tell from the after action reports I've read. You're always in a scenario where, as the Russians, where you're just getting whipped in the air, always. It never turns. And I just don't think that's necessarily realistic. I think there should be a point where it shifts over so that you're winning more than you're losing the air battle. And maybe it does. Maybe people just play it wrong, or maybe, if I get there someday in the distant future, I'll find out that, yeah, there's some tricks to it. You can definitely do better if you do it a certain way. I don't know. I agree, though, that the air war is a drag sometimes. But they do let you automate it, at least, so you could ignore it. But I don't think the results you get from doing that are very good. I don't know why the army group starts way hell back here. Could put them up to Kharkov, probably. That would cut down the distance a little bit. I don't know if that's going to make our automatic rail do weird things, though. Maybe they're here for a reason. I would really like the auto rail to be focused on this area, though. So it makes me almost want to bring them all the way up to Stalino. because I think everything under Army Group B, yeah, he just has FPD units. So do we have any automatic rail repair? This guy doesn't. Let's check our order of battle here. We'll just do support. Just looking at construction battalions, we don't have a ton of them actually, especially compared to the main campaign. So we do have these a few construction battalions, but it's just limited to the ones on the map. They're just these FPD units. We don't have any of the auto rail fixers, as far as I can tell, which is a bit of a drag. We don't have a lot of construction units in general. Only 71 construction battalions. At least most of them are pretty well supplied with men. One of the interesting things in the real history of Stalingrad is as the scenario goes on, as the campaign rolls on, they convert a lot of non-combat units to be frontline combat units, and to the point where they're even using Russians as like frontline troops against Russians, which is crazy. The Hebes are put into basically combat roles in some cases, which I think is nuts. I cannot imagine doing that as a commander, like having your captured, conscripted, basically enemy troops that have been conscripted to your side, then having them turn around and do stuff against their own nation is crazy. Oh man, I don't know what to do with no combat prep. I don't know if you're supposed to attack or not. You probably are supposed to attack, but like these odds are bad against everything. Maybe I could just take a quick peek up here. Yeah, they have units everywhere. All right. We'll go back here. And maybe I could put the infantry up to here. And then next turn I can kind of blow them up. Use this infantry here to hold that. What I want is to get some of my motorized units off of the front line. Ideally, I would want to get the panzers off the front line as well. Maybe I could put a regiment here, but that's a whole tank corps right there. This guy has space, so I could reassign this 113th ID to him. I think I'll do that. Where is he? Why is the 14th? Oh, he's already under him? Oh, okay. In that case, maybe I will assign... Not enough divisions up here. We need more divisions. Can we bring up the Italians to hold this? Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll put the Italians up here. I didn't even really review the victory conditions. I'm just assuming that we take Stalingrad and we basically win. But there's a lot of flags down here that we're supposed to take. I guess maybe you're not supposed to ignore the taking all the way down to Krasnodar. Can we cross here? No. Yeah, those guys are all inactive. Maybe that's the alternate scenario. It lets you activate these 11th Army guys down here. So this corps could go up there. Maybe that's what we do. Supply situation is going to be fairly bad, though. We can't rail them. And we do have to do something here as well. So a lot of decisions to make early on here. 395th and 30th Rifle Divisions are right there. But we could at least get our division over the line here. I'll leave the Mountain Division to heal up. I would love to take that port. That would help the supply situation. That's the thing. 4.3. I don't think he even has enough. Yeah, I don't think he has enough to do a deliberate attack, and he wouldn't win. That's a bit of a problem. We could send this guy up at least to do a little frontline action. I hope I didn't just put him over the limit. No, he's got 10. Okay. I wasn't even thinking before I clicked G. That's the other thing if you're new to War in the East is the hotkeys are not necessarily obvious unless you read them. So make sure you read the hotkeys if you want to start playing it. I think there's a lot of good options out there for Eastern Front games, though. I just like the setup in this game. I think the hard thing about scenarios like this are when you have nothing that's really prepared to fight, you're going to take more losses than you need to. Just like you got to sacrifice units on the front line for no reason. It's very annoying. I really hate the idea of being very inactive here. But I also hate the idea of just wasting troops. So like this guy has his entire corps already deployed on the front line. Ideally, I would want some sort of reserve. So like this one, they have one division deployed and one division in reserve. And that's fine. This guy, he has both his divisions in reserve, so we could deploy one of this 94th Infantry Division. We could deploy them somewhere. I'm just not sure where. I want to get the rail, but I have to get it all the way down here. So that's kind of the important area first. Otherwise, we're pushing in this vicinity here. Could I take this rail? No, it only gives us 2 to 1. We could probably push there. Could maybe push there with if we brought him up. Let's see. Maybe we'll do that. We'll just pop this guy. Just trying to buy a little space for this airfield. I don't want it to be weak. I don't know what these guys are here, but I wish I could kill this guy too. Yeah, we don't have enough combat prep to do anything. It's very annoying. Kind of stuck. I really want that hex. But I don't think I can get there with this guy. Could get that hex though. Maybe that's worth it. Let's see. It definitely puts him under pressure. And then we can march up this core up to here. Can I put them under 6th Army? No. 6th Army is full. 6th Army can only have 36 units? That's crazy. Although probably the German armies are smaller than the Soviet fronts that I'm used to. So he has 6 corps assigned to him. I wonder why that's not corps pluralized. I never noticed that before. That's a funny picture of Paulus. It's not the one you usually see. What do they give Paulus for stats? A 4 and a 5 for infantry and mech. He's good admin though, but bad initiative and bad morale. I guess that kind of makes sense. All right, let's bring up this guy up here too. Bring up the 4th Corps. 4th Corps we could actually deploy all the way to the front line. Maybe we'll do that. We have 0 AP. I just noticed that. So we can't even build a depot this turn. What a pain. Such a cool little scenario, though. I like starting from this point, actually. Wasn't sure I would. I'm just very unsure what I'm doing. I know I want to hold units back so that they get some combat prep. But as I'm getting combat prep, the Soviets are also getting combat prep, so maybe I just attack. I don't know. That's a tricky decision. Okay, that's not very strong. We could probably knock that back with a couple of units here. 6 to 2.5. Needs one more guy in there. Yeah, I wanted to get that routed marker. Okay, who has movement points left now? This guy does. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Get that guy out of there. Alright, so now we got a little baby encirclement. Alright, we're going to have to deploy some infantry up to the front line here just to hold the line. I wonder if there's anything further back here that I could get. I wonder what these units are. I don't know. Those Yakers did good work, though. I would like to get somebody into there. I think it's probably okay as is. I have to get one more unit in here, unfortunately. We could bring him up to here. Have any other rail guys? I guess this guy's coming up this way. Yeah, I really want to get this hex here. I guess we can by doing that. And then that's attacking across a river. I don't think he has enough combat prep to do it, fortunately. He's going right to the 17th Army. Oh, now I put him over his limit. Oops. Okay, we'll reassign this guy to something else. Put him under 5th Corps. No big deal. I'll leave those guys in the back for now. I gotta decide what to do with the Italians. Not a very good encirclement there, actually. Only 2 divisions. I was really hoping for more to be able to like close this encirclement off, but I just don't think I can. I could get this guy all the way up here, but I know these guys can't go any further. Well, I guess this guy could go all the way up here. Maybe we do this. I could break this guy down. But then I still can't close that off all the way. So I don't think that's much better than the situation I have now. But what it does mean is maybe I could pull this guy off of the front line. So he gets more combat prep. That might be what I do. Well, we want them both here, so I don't want to move him too far. I would like another infantry unit to hold that hex, maybe. I had thought about doing this earlier, just bringing over a couple infantry guys to hold the line while that. And then I could bring the Italians up to here. I think that's where they are historically, like in this area somewhere. So let's do that. Bring up some Italians to there anyway. And then that lets us unleash this corps over to here. Why is this guy so far over? Alright, well, I think the 17th Corps is going to have to move over. Sorry guys, but we need frontline units. Keep one of their regiments in reserve, I guess. That's just a total lack of reserves in this entire area. Alright, so then that lets me pull back the 16th Panzer Division. Now, ideally, we would pocket this whole thing. We can't really get through on the flank here. I don't think, unless the 16th Panzer can do it. Okay. Obviously, the 16th Panzer can do it. So then the question is, if we move in here, can we cut them all the way off? Okay, where's the other Panzer Division? 24th Panzer. Yes, we can cut them all the way off. Excellent. Alright, so we pocketed this tank corps now. Wasn't sure I could. Wasn't sure I could get that. I probably want to keep them back on that side of the river, so maybe we just use that fatigue, tank it. Well, I think that's the best we can do here. Getting 3 divisions, well, a corps in 2 divisions. Although tank corps are basically divisions, realistically. Big divisions, but they're more like the size of a panzer division than they are an actual panzer corps. It's not like they are 2 divisions. They just call them tank corps. Alright, so we got 2 encirclements done. I don't know if we can get much more than that. You're probably supposed to be able to get a lot more than that. I don't know. They're like a good German player here. Would just annihilate them. I'm thinking more from the Russian way of playing. Like you kind of play slow and try to make sure you get good pockets and really seal them off. But maybe the Germans are supposed to play a little bit more aggressive. Probably a lot more aggressive. Where are these guys? They're going back to this corps. I don't know if I want to move everything there, though. So he could take a little bit more. this guy. I didn't mean for him to go there. Okay, well, that'll work anyways. I don't care. He gets 1 Italian unit. This side's a little weak. I would like to have some sort of support over here, maybe. Could put him here and put him in reserve. And then maybe move up this division up to here. What I want is for them to cross 1 division and then we can knock them back over. Ideally. That's kind of the thought process there. Alright, so I think we'll kill those guys. We'll kill these 3. I would have liked to be able to pocket these naval brigades as well, but wasn't to be. And then once that they're dead, that opens up this front a lot. 62nd Army will be pretty devastated after that. Are those guys on 62nd? I think 13th Tank Corps is 62nd, and I think these 229th I'm pretty sure is 64th Army, from what I can remember. And I know 147th is 64th Army as well. I'm not sure about 181. I think he might be 62nd. Or maybe there's another army here. I don't remember. They all kind of blur together after a while. But that's what I'm hoping to do. I don't think there's else. Otherwise, I don't think there's much to be done here. I would love to take that hex, but not with these guys. They can't possibly attack across that river. So that's a long-term problem to solve. That's going to need a lot of work. Alright, let's turn the turn and see what happens. I don't think there's anything else I can do. I don't have any points to spend. I guess I can move these guys up a little bit. Yeah, otherwise I don't really have any more points to spend, so can't do a whole hell of a lot. I mean, this guy could be moved up from Kursk. He's at 8 of 9. I guess I could just move him closer to his army commander. Probably fine. Otherwise, supply priority, I'm not sure how much of a difference it's going to make, but I'll put like the Panzer Corps on. Oh, they're already on 4. I was going to say I'll put the Panzer Corps on 4 and see what happens. I don't think they're going to get a whole lot of supplies, so what I could try to do is to just drop in supplies to here. And I lost a plane, of course. 124 tons. Not a ton. Get it? Not a ton of supplies, but it's better than nothing. Oh my god. I probably absolutely screwed up this so far, but we'll find out, I guess. See what the Soviets do. Probably don't have more time for more than one turn, but it's kind of fun. I'm glad somebody stopped in and chatted for a bit. Try to find the part of the campaign where we're in. trying to find where that tank corps, 13th Tank Corps, goes to. 13th Tank Corps is under 64th Army. Those naval brigades are also under 64th Army. And then 157th, 204th, 138th, 126th are all under the 64th Army. And then 62nd Army had the 229th. Okay, so they were under them. That other army that's there is probably the 57th, I would imagine. Or the 51st. I forget exactly how they're set up there. Okay, let's see what happened. I wasn't even paying attention. Probably not good stuff. Oh, the Soviets ran away. Amazing. Oh, they're trying to get out of that pocket. That's cute. These guys didn't even try. Awesome. Oh, they gave us the railhead. That's nice. What else did we get gifted? We're allowed to cross? No. We got gifted this Azov port. That's nice. Yeah, that's a lot of benefits here. Did we get that? No, we didn't get that bridgehead we wanted. That would have been really nice. Oh, they pulled back from Voronezh so we could get all the way up to that rail line, maybe? That'd be huge. Cool. All right. Well, I think we got some cool stuff to work on next time. Having this bridgehead across the Don is really good. And obviously pocketing 3 divisions is nice. Well, 5 divisions because we got these guys too. But they did manage to break out of their encirclement, which is a shame. I just didn't have the movement points left to completely seal it. That's fine. We'll get them next time. These guys we can now kill because they've been isolated. All right, so until next time, I think that's going to be it for today. Next week, I will probably return to this campaign until I do a little bit more research about what I want to do going forward. And I do think that there's kind of a niche here that I want to try to fill with a combination of War in the East sessions and Fall Blau. So just so we get a little view of Fall Blau here to see what you're in for if you want to join those sessions. Maybe I'll show some of that. Also, if you aren't on the Discord and you want to contribute to any sort of topics for this, if you join the Discord and then you look at the Stalingrad Sunday channels, there's a topics one, and you can put in suggestions on what games to do or what things to talk about in there. I'm going to try to have the beginning of each stream be just kind of a roundup of any new games that might be Stalingrad related. And then from there, I will jump into whatever the main topic of the day is going to be. And I'll try to announce that ahead of time what the main topic is going to be. But I've got to work on getting them set up first. I just wanted to start streaming and see what happened, if people actually were interested or not. The Fall Blau campaign, though, is a pretty cool looking one. So let me show you that. If I can get OBS to cooperate here for a second. All right, so Fall Blau is kind of a mini. It's bills itself as a manageable monster game, but it's kind of a beast. So it gives you this whole area where you can go all the way to Stalingrad. See the kind of the area where we are just playing here. But it has a huge map, absolutely huge. And the cool thing about this game in particular is when you have, when you draw a chit to activate these units, so you don't know the strength of a unit until it starts fighting, basically. So like when you draw a chit from the cup, it's going to be a different value every time you play. So you can't forecast in advance exactly what it's going to be. I think I just broke it. Oh well. So anyway, it's supposed to change numbers each time you play. So like, see, I got 14 there. I got 11 there. So there's different numbers that you can draw. And basically that's, obviously you can see here, like if I drew this 14 for this A10 guy, he's a lot stronger than if I had drawn the 8. So you never quite know exactly how good your units are going to be, which I think is a really cool thing. One of the games I'm really interested in playing is Operation Typhoon, which is an older version of this, but recently got re-released from Decision Games, and that is one of the better, supposedly one of the better games to use this variable combat chit system. But all of Greg's games that I've played have used this variable stuff, and the main reason for it is that he thinks that it's kind of annoying to play these games like, you know, that have been solved, basically. He doesn't like solvable games, because a game can basically be a puzzle if you want to play it that way, and you can solve the math of it. It's feasible. But if you have just a little bit of randomness thrown in there about how good your units are, it adds another layer and makes it more difficult to solve. I don't know if it actually works, but that's his theory anyway. But I think it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun. Now, when you're playing it in real life, it's a little fiddly, I will admit, and maybe some people won't like that. But personally, I think it is a lot of fun to just draw the strength of your unit out of a cup rather than already knowing what it's going to be. So I think it's kind of a fun thing. But I'm going to be playing Fall Blau in addition to the War in the East campaign, and we'll see where it goes. We'll start with those two. Maybe I can be convinced to try a little bit of the OCS Fall Blau version, Case Blue. I will never be able to purchase it because it's very expensive, but I could at least play it on Vassal. And then there's some other Stalingrad games that I've been interested in and I just haven't played. There's a VUCA simulations game on the topic, and I'm going to try to learn a little bit about that and see if I can get a copy of that. What are some other ones? There's some of the older Stalingrad games that I might try, and then obviously BCS Inflection Point is definitely on the list to hit. So I've got a big chunk of games that I could play. It's gonna take me a while to get through those, so it's probably 4 or 5 Stalingrad related games that should last me a good long while. And if I'm ever not sure what I want to play, I'll just play War in the East, and that'll do me. So till next time, I hope that you enjoyed having a little bit of a live experience hopefully I can, as I do it more frequently, there'll be a little bit more conversation back and forth. But thank you if you did chat. Very grateful. And hopefully you have a great rest of your Sunday. Till next time, see ya.